Welcome to Touring Globe. Every city has two faces. There's the one the world knows, the landmarks, the attractions, the postcard views. And then there's the other side, the one hidden in backstreets, whispered in local cafes, and tucked into corners only residents truly see. These hidden gems are where a city reveals its soul. They're not in guidebooks, they're not crowded with tourists, but they're the places that stay with you long after the trip ends. Today, we're stepping off the beaten path to uncover the secrets every city keeps. The streets less traveled. Step off the main boulevard, and suddenly the city begins to whisper its secrets. Narrow alleys, forgotten passageways, and cobblestone streets carry stories that tourists often miss. Some of these paths lead to old courtyards where laundry still hangs from balconies, or walls painted with murals that capture the spirit of past generations. In Paris, beyond the Eiffel Tower, there are streets where tiny bakeries fill the air with the smell of fresh croissants, and neighbors greet each other by name. In Marrakech, away from the busy souks, you might find a craftsman hammering metal by hand, keeping alive skills passed down for centuries. Walking these streets is like peeling back the layers of a city, discovering not just where it is today but who it has been. Cafes that feel like home. There's a difference between eating at a popular restaurant and stepping into a small cafe run by a family who has lived in the neighborhood for decades. These places rarely have fancy menus or polished signs, but what they do have is authenticity. The tables may be worn from years of use, the chairs mismatched, the recipes written by hand, yet every bite carries history. Imagine sitting in a tucked-away corner of Rome, sipping coffee as the owner tells you which vineyard produced the wine he serves. Or being in Hanoi, perched on a plastic stool at a street stall, tasting pho so rich in flavor that you realize no international chain could ever capture it. These cafes are where strangers become friends, where the city feels less like a destination and more like a second home. Hidden nature in the concrete jungle. Even in the busiest cities, nature finds a way to breathe. Some of the most unforgettable moments of travel come not from skyscrapers or monuments, but from the quiet green spaces hidden in between. A park that only locals visit, a rooftop garden where plants grow wild, or a secret courtyard where sunlight filters gently through the trees. In Tokyo, beyond neon lights and crowded crossings, there are peaceful shrines surrounded by moss-covered stones and blooming cherry trees. In Mexico City, courtyards tucked behind colonial walls hold fountains where the sound of water drowns out the traffic outside. And in London, community gardens planted by residents turn abandoned lots into living art. These pockets of nature are like the city's heartbeat, calm, steady, and grounding. Forgotten history. The well-known monuments tell one version of history, but the forgotten corners tell another. Sometimes it's an abandoned building that once echoed with music or a crumbling fortress whose stones remember battles. These places may not have guided tours, but they hold an authenticity that polished attractions often lose. In Havana, pastel-colored mansions stand in slow decay, each balcony holding echoes of salsa rhythms and political change. In Athens, ruins hide between modern apartments, where ancient stones peek out like reminders of another era. Exploring these forgotten sites makes you realize that history isn't always preserved behind glass, it's alive, it's raw, and it's everywhere if you look closely. Markets full of life. Markets are more than shopping, they're the soul of a city. Early in the morning, vendors set up their stalls, voices rising above the sound of haggling. The air is filled with spices, fresh produce, laughter, and music. Every market has its rhythm, and walking through one is like being invited into the daily life of locals. In Istanbul, neighborhood markets spill into narrow streets, where the smell of roasted chestnuts mixes with fresh herbs. In Mexico City, hidden food stalls serve recipes so unique they're never written down, only shared from parent to child. In Nairobi, Maasai beadwork dazzles in bright colors, each pattern carrying meaning that outsiders might not immediately understand. Markets aren't about buying things, they're about connecting with the city's living culture. The people behind the places. Sometimes the most unforgettable hidden gem isn't a landmark at all, it's a person. A street musician whose melody stops you in your tracks. A grandmother who insists you taste her homemade bread. A local guide who shows you their favorite sunset spot that no tourist ever finds. In Prague, a violinist plays in a quiet square, turning the evening air into a concert hall. In Jaipur, a shopkeeper offers tea as he explains the symbolism woven into every fabric. In small fishing villages along the Mediterranean, sailors tell stories of storms, traditions, and generations who lived by the sea. These encounters remind us that travel isn't just about places, it's about people. The city's quiet secrets. Everywhere you go, there are little secrets waiting for discovery. Maybe it's a library hidden inside an old cathedral, or a staircase that leads to a rooftop view no map will ever show you. Sometimes it's a single bench in a park where the sunset looks different than anywhere else. These aren't just locations, they're experiences. They're the kind of discoveries that make you pause, breathe, and realize you found something special. Every city has its famous icons, but the real magic is often hidden in plain sight. The side streets, the neighborhood cafes, the forgotten history, the quiet gardens, the bustling markets, and the kindness of strangers. These are the treasures that don't make the headlines, yet they stay in your heart long after the trip ends. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe. See you in the next video. In Prague, a violinist plays in a quiet square, turning the evening air into a concert hall. In Jaipur, a shopkeeper offers tea as he explains the symbolism woven into every fabric. In small fishing villages along the Mediterranean, sailors tell stories of storms, traditions, and generations who lived by the sea. These encounters remind us that travel isn't just about places, it's about people. The city's quiet secrets. Everywhere you go, there are little secrets waiting for discovery. Maybe it's a library hidden inside an old cathedral, or a staircase that leads to a rooftop view no map will ever show you. Sometimes it's a single bench in a park where the sunset looks different than anywhere else. These aren't just locations, they're experiences. They're the kind of discoveries that make you pause, breathe, and realize you found something special. See you in the next video.